For our community, we always had the notion of having a power electric run-of-the-river hydro project. Public Works Canada kind of blasted through our area without consulting us in previous years. And it was something the community said that we want to do something good with this disaster. And without the land code under the framework agreement, we could have never had this accomplished. Since 2014, we've been moving forward lots. We have our 10 megawatt project. We have a new lands office, which consists of a lands officer, a GIS officer, our housing and economic development. We have our forestry and trails person, and a conservation officer. And we've been moving forward with leases. We're under development with a new 30-plus housing development, a new water system. We have our environmental law that's going to be voting on, and we're doing our zoning and our business permits. So we've been quite busy since 2014.
It allows for, or promotes, the return of your people to your community. So through lands management, you're going to have economic development, which probably your chief and council and your community will direct that money to go towards health programs, education programs, all the things that we're chronically underfunded for that we sorely need. So once your people are stronger and educated, then they'll foray out into the mainstream and probably gain valuable experience, education, and then they will bring that back to your community.
The main benefit that I see is that where a First Nation wants to take control, wants to have the inherent right of its government and its people recognized, then this is a very useful mechanism for that to happen. A land code, once it's passed, puts the First Nation into the power of government. It will have lawmaking decisions and powers to pass its laws. And those laws and that power is equal to the federal government, to the province, to any external outside government. There is no bylaw with someone above that will make the final decision. It will be the community itself.
Economic development is always foremost on the minds of a lot of communities about their ability to do business at the pace of business. You don't have to wait for INAC to give you approvals to do things. You're not going to wait a year or two or three for decisions to come downhill from Ottawa. You'll be able to make those decisions in-house, following your own processes based on your own ideals and your own rules and regulations.
You know, we would like to get more of our members coming home, because you know, having land code helps us that way, because we can identify areas for expansion in regards to opening up another subdivision right beside the existing. So we're planning for all that. We're getting it all prepared. So it's great to get as many members back home as possible.
The way the process worked under the old way, it was just so slow. You know, every lease had to go to the department. We had to wait, and it moved at snail pace, and business doesn't move at a snail pace. You know, people come in, they want to deal with you and deal with you. They don't want to deal with the department, you know.
My uncle, Gerry Edgar, former chief of our community, and his council had the vision to sign, and the guts to sign that framework agreement and really go into an area of governance that was pretty foreign to First Nations back at the time. It was a bit of a leap of faith, but I'm sure glad they leapt.
We've had 82 First Nations from coast to coast, from Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic Ocean, and everywhere in between that have passed land codes. So the experiences and the diversity and the successes really speak for themselves.
And what land code does is almost immediately raises the value of your land. So when you're in a negotiation for a right-of-way, for a highway, in the past they were able to give you like 30 to 40% less of market value for that land because it's reserve land. But under land code, because you're able to lease land under land code and create an equity for the value of your land, the market value for your land therefore increases, and your negotiating power therefore increases.
It's up to the community members to educate themselves about land code. I would say look up on the internet, look up all the other nations that are on land code, see what they've done in their communities and how it fit for their membership. And you know, the good thing about land code, we don't have to sell it. it sells itself.
Biggest point for me is your ability to protect your reserves lands from environmental protection, from improper development, from all of those things. If you can develop your environmental protection laws and all your processes and policies to protect your lands, that's key. You can make them as strict as you want. You can make them stricter than the national or the provincial regulations.
It's been a groundswell really of success that First Nations now have the benefit of hindsight and looking at the lessons learned of the other communities across Canada. And I think it just proves that First Nations lands management really is working. It's working better, way better than the Indian Act. And
we care about our land more than somebody down in Ottawa. You know, it's our land, it's our backyard, and we can take better care of it than they can.
It's a lot of consultation with your community members. That's the thing I would suggest, to be upfront, be transparent, and get their buy-in. With interchanges and highways, I think it's a great area to be under the framework agreement. In my area, or close to it, there's 3 First Nations in the same, they want to do 4-laning on the Highway 400 or 69, and they were not even at the table before. They would, go sit in the corner, we're going to do the highway, and then come back in and we'll let you know. Now they said, no, we're under the framework agreement, we're under land management, you come to our table and let's talk about doing this.
What you've got is an opportunity for nations to begin to get real traction on their own goals. But I think for some nations, they haven't really been through the strategic process of figuring out what is it we're trying to do. And when I say what are we trying to do, I'm talking very long term. What is it you're trying to pass on to coming generations in terms of the nature of your community, the nature of nationhood, your people, what they value, what they do, what are you trying to protect, and what are you trying to change? So I think there's an opportunity here for nations to make real progress, but they've got to be clear on where it is they're trying to go.